Welcome to Talkin Baloney.
Calvin Cocoa Pop.
This is Boochie.
Oh, gosh.
What's going on?
No script allowed.
What are you, some kind of bot? Come on, people.
Oh, yeah. You want a pickle, you gotta give him a pickle, right?
I want to be a movie star.
Wow, that sounds so interesting.
Fresh and quick.
Cheese, pizza.
Part of the Baloney Nation.
Jim Deezy.
You guys still there?
Hey, big guy.
Jim Deezy, what is going on?
Hey, back from a little break, man. You know, we even us, you know, socialite celebrities got to take a vacation every now and then.
Yeah, it happens. And, you know, we had to disappoint our numerous fans, but
you
I mean,
know,
it was Mother's Day.
It's Mother's Day, folks. And, you know, again, a shout out to all the mothers from our last episode because we weren't here because we were spending time with our mothers.
Yeah. If we did a show that day, we would have, you know, talked about Mother's Day probably, but, you know, what better
way? Yeah.
Exactly.
Just to be there in person, you know? Hey, so how you been, man? How'd you enjoy your week off?
Oh, made the most of it. How
Same
about you?
here.
Yeah?
Well, I drank about 10, 15 pots of coffee. You know, I had a banana.
Hey, first time for everything.
You know, I tried a couple new products. We'll talk about those later.
Okay.
You know, whenever you want to. Oh, and by the way, I got something I want to show you that my wife found at a store. And we're gonna have to make these part of our show. Ferocious Flakes.
That is a Joe Exotic branded Tiger King official breakfast cereal.
And it comes with.
Oh, we won't say what it says about Carol Baskins, but it's not pleasant.
It says that bitch Carol.
Okay, or we will say.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of neat. Like, is he getting royalties off of that, you think?
I don't know if you can get royalties for something like that when you're in prison. But who knows?
Nothing would surprise me.
So today, kind of a big show because it's a topic that we've talked a little bit about here and there, but we're going to talk about Ghostbusters today.
Ooh, because I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Talk about the movies, the cartoon, the reboot, the reboot, everything.
The soundtrack.
Oh, got to, right?
Oh my God, you got to. Let's just. I do have one quick public service announcement we need to start our show off with.
Go ahead.
We will no longer discuss Silver Spoons as a show that even exists in our book anymore. Done. This is it. No longer. Can't discuss it anymore.
Yeah. We don't get into politics. We don't get into religion. And because we don't get into politics, we won't say why we're not going to talk about Silver Spoons anymore.
Yep.
So Ghostbusters was developed by Dan Aykroyd.
Mm-hmm.
It was originally going to be Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, and Eddie Murphy. And John Belushi passed away. And then Eddie Murphy became a huge star. And instead, we got probably a better movie with Bill Murray.
Mm-hmm. Bill Murray, instant classic. Everything he's in.
Yeah. So the character Bill Murray plays in Ghostbusters is probably the closest you get to like the actual Bill Murray.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's him saying whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and stand back.
Yeah. He's comedy gold. Comedy gold. You know? His character in Ghostbusters is very close to his character in Scrooged. It's minus the fancy, you know, the millions of dollars and stuff like that. But I mean, it's almost like the same characters in both movies.
Well, and I think that's kind of what I was saying. Like, when you let Bill Murray be Bill Murray, you're going to have a big movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
the movies where he tries to play like a character doesn't work as well. Just let Bill Murray do his thing and stand back.
We'll have to do a show on Bill Murray one day.
Oh yeah.
What about Bob? Need I say more?
Maybe. All right, so Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, your Ghostbusters. Tell me about the movie. What'd you think?
Well, kind of like listen, the shop that Dan Aykroyd has, the little was it something of the occult, the little bookstore, awesome. Had that nice little, I could see you and I running a store like that. Maybe not, books of the occult, but more like sports memorabilia or something like that. But there's a vibe, there's an originality to that movie when it first came out. Like nobody had done anything like that, where there's like a little bit of comedy, but at the same time there's some seriousness. But they're hunting ghosts.
Yeah, that's kind of the big fan about the movie, the blend of comedy with like big time special effects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it wasn't really done much.
No, and I gotta say, I like the fact of how they, they're like, kind of all like waiting to make that next career change. So it's just I like it. It's part of my childhood watching that movie when it came out.
So it's kind of a love letter to New York City too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you think about movies about New York, that's like one of the first ones you think of. Between like the mayor in the movie, who seemed like an actual New York City mayor, that when I was a kid, I thought they got the actual mayor to be in the movie. He was that convincing.
Yeah. And he's a nut. The mayor's kind of it's all about politics and it's all about, getting reelected and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, it's the same thing now. So
true to life.
And most New Yorkers are assholes. I'm sorry. A-holes.
Oh, much better. Thank you.
Yes. And very true to life. Sorry about that.
So, we talked about Sigourney Weaver just a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. She's obviously a key part of the movie, but so is Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
And Rick Moranis, of course, is the key master, and Sigourney Weaver is the gatekeeper.
The gatekeeper. I freaking love it.
Now, as I understand it, Rick Moranis like ad-libbed a lot of his lines, and he like developed the character himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like the original script, he wasn't an accountant. He didn't really have much of a backstory at all. Rick Moranis just like came up with all that.
Listen, he's a phenomenal actor himself. Like, I don't know many things he's done or been in that were crap. So I mean, they got you know what I mean? Like, from his Honey, I Shrunk the Kid stuff to, but listen, his character, it's phenomenal. Yeah. From part 1 to part 2, I just remember him in front of the judge saying, well, when I was a dog, these guys, changed me back. And oh my God, they gave me another chance. He's a great character, great actor.
Absolutely. And again, it's a matter of you get talented, funny people. Like they could have written his whole role out and just said, here, do this. Yeah. And look how much better it was by just letting him come up with his own stuff and create this character out of nothing. Yeah. No, I got it. It was great. Like they all play off each other through the whole movie. How about that soundtrack, Jim? Come on, Ray Parker Jr., Ghostbusters. Man, who wasn't playing that back then on their cassette deck? You remember the music video? Yeah, actually, the guys from the movie are actually in it. It's the guys from the movie, and it's just all these celebrities and people from New York City.
Yeah.
Like Mayor Ed Koch, but then like, so even the music video is like a nice sampling of New York in the 80s. What are you going to call?
Ghostbusters. Listen, the Ray Parker Jr. Ghostbusters song, when you hear the beginning of it, the instrument playing in the beginning, it's almost like when Michael Jackson's Beat It and stuff like that, or Thriller comes on. What song that is.
Very unique.
Very unique, yeah.
Right.
Soundtracks are amazing. Ghostbusters always, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but Ghostbusters always nailed the soundtrack. Always nailed it.
And I think they kind of set the formula. Like, if you're going to have a big comedy, besides the comedy aspect, go for the whole deal. Have the soundtrack. And maybe they weren't the originators because it kind of followed in the Animal House, Caddyshack.
Mm-hmm.
Those movies did the same thing, but it's, a classic recipe for a great movie. Killer soundtrack.
Merchandise.
That's right. So after the movie was a global phenomenon, they started a cartoon series. Did you watch that at all?
I did not. I saw some of it, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Unless it had to do with wrestling, I wasn't really a big, or Transformers or G.I. Joe. I really wasn't a big cartoon guy.
And I think we were just beyond the age. Like, it came out in 86. We were probably a little too old for a cartoon that was aimed at kids.
Mm-hmm.
I always had a beef with the cartoon as well because, being for kids, they had to change the characters. So, like, each of them had a different color uniform. They had to have different colored hair so the kids could tell them apart.
Crap.
Yeah. And it made Slimer the ghost like a huge part of the show.
Yeah. Like Slimer's hunting ghosts. He's a damn ghost himself. Yeah. Didn't get it.
Yeah. It ran for 7 seasons. There are probably people who grew up with that cartoon who know that better than the movie. That's hard to believe.
Yeah, here's the sad thing. If that ran for 7 seasons, that just goes to show you there was no other good cartoons on.
So I think I realized how big the cartoon was when we went to see Ghostbusters 2 in a packed to the gills Heights Theater.
And the old Heights Theater.
Slimer makes his first appearance in the movie, and the crowd erupted. Like, all the kids started screaming, "It's Slimer! It's Slimer!" It was like, wow.
Man, that takes me back, man. The old Heights Theater.
Yeah.
Saw some classics in that theater, but man, going to see a movie like Ghostbusters, it's going to be packed. And then keep in mind, not only did they tie all this stuff together with Ghostbusters 2, but they amped up the soundtrack for this one tenfold versus, part 1. Like, they put a lot of effort into the soundtrack on this. Like, and there were songs played on mainstream radio. You don't hear that often.
The big hits.
Yeah.
Talk about Ghostbusters 2 for a minute. Yeah. How do you sell the movie? Well, it's simple. You just have the same ghost logo, but he's holding up a number 2.
Yeah,
boom.
It's great. Come on. Whoever thought of that? Genius. It'd be like doing a Jaws 2, but he's got like a second shark swimming next to him.
I can't believe they never did that.
Yeah, it could have.
Why didn't they do a Jaws where there were 2 Jaws?
I know.
Man, call Hollywood. Where's the number? Do you have the number?
No. They wouldn't answer us anyway.
So, Ghostbusters 2 was 1989, 5 years after the original. A little bit of a letdown financially, maybe creatively, not as good as the first. But some bright spots in it for sure.
Mhm.
What do you think?
I was not a fan of the Statue of Liberty thing. Not a fan.
Yeah.
That, to me, that was a little overboard. I think if they would have just stuck to the basics, like the courtroom scene was awesome, the slime, the river of slime, the portrait Vigo, the Carpathian, there was some seriousness in it too, like when, the tub tries to eat the baby and Sigourney Weaver, and then, when the photos all burst into flames, there was some seriousness, and then it got kind of goofy with the Statue of Liberty stuff.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It was like a really good movie, and then the end of it, the whole idea that just playing Jackie Wilson would make the ghost gel or plasm or whatever it was react that way. The Statue of Liberty was like a bad idea. I don't know.
Yeah, and then the whole crowd of New York City people singing together, and that's going to create this, it's going to be what breaks the shell of the ooze over the top of the museum building or whatever. I was at that point, lost me at that point. I was waiting for the credits to start so they would play Bobby Brown's Ghostbusters song.
We're on our own.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, Bobby Brown, who was super popular at the time. You're capitalizing off the Ghostbusters thing. You're capitalizing off all the different actors and stuff that are in there. They had their own product and merchandise line out at the time. Because remember, you could buy the Ecto-1, vehicle. You could buy the Ghost packs. You could buy all that stuff at the store. And then you got a top 20 superstar singing your theme song for your movie.
Doesn't get any better.
And then, the soundtrack had a lot of stuff on it. And I can remember 2 of the songs from the soundtrack being in the top 20. Going back to that courtroom scene, classic Bill Murray when he's leading Rick Moranis into saying what he has to say to the jury.
Yes. Yeah. They could have done a whole movie of just those guys in a court.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I would have paid to see it.
Big time.
Yeah.
All right.
But again, that's all I got really on Ghostbusters 2. It was great up until the Statue of Liberty scene. And if anybody wants to question me on that, shoot us up on the text line, man.
Oh, they can call the hotline?
Yeah. Text us. Interact with us.
585-484-1770?
There it is.
All right. We're going to take a break and come back and talk about where Ghostbusters went after that, as bad as it turned out. And we'll be right back.
All right. That's killer, man. Just jamming.
Oh, the best.
It's like Club Baloney.
And it's a good show when during the commercial break we talk about Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's the show is going well.
Yeah. What we were saying, folks, is there's a point in time in life where you just got to let your character go and you just got to be yourself. And I think he's at that crossroads now.
Yeah. It's
kind of like I was going to say, that's a good segue into the next Ghostbusters movie.
Right. So everyone after Ghostbusters 2, everyone wanted another movie. And it just never happened. They could never get a script, and Bill Murray kind of particular about what he wanted. Never worked. And so we go forward to 2016, and there's a new Ghostbusters, all-female cast, directed by Paul Feig. I don't know. What do you think of the 2016 Ghostbusters?
Well, it was like watching a long SNL skit.
Okay.
And love the all-female cast. I love all the actresses. They're all like some of my favorites. But you throw Thor in the middle of it, Chris Hemsworth. And I had no idea where this movie was going. It was just way over the top. It was almost like you had Michael Bay doing this in the background. Let's have a bunch of explosions, special effects.
Yeah.
It just, everything sounded like canned laughter, just comedy skit after comedy skit and spoof after another. It was one-liner after one-liner after one-liner. There was no story to this at all.
And what story was there was basically the same story as the original Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, supposedly this took place in an alternate universe. That's the storyline. So in this alternate universe, these are the original Ghostbusters. I don't know what that means or why it matters. I think the problem, like you said, that first Ghostbusters was so realistic.
Mm-hmm.
The way you could watch the movie and it felt like this is New York City. These are people you know. I thought the mayor was real. Nothing in this new Ghostbusters was real. Just everything seemed like cosplay of what the original was.
It was basically Ghostbusters produced by Lorne Michaels.
Yeah. It was heavy Saturday Night Live influence because of the cast. You had Leslie Jones, Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, all from Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa McCarthy was the one I thought didn't do a good job acting. I feel like she put on this one face and then had that face the entire movie and never showed any other emotion. I don't know what she was doing.
Well, and you had Cecily Strong was the mayor's assistant, and then you had you can bring in as many actors and actresses as you want into a movie, but if there's no good script or story, it doesn't matter. It just felt like one zinger after another through the whole movie from start to finish. It was that quick little SNL zinger.
Yeah. And like you said, the ending, it felt like they were trying to do like the Avengers, where the ending had to be so huge. It was just way over the top.
Mm-hmm.
The green screen effects, it was just so unrealistic, and the colors, there was way too much color going on.
Mm-hmm.
I compare it to, and we've done this on the show many times, the new Vacation movie with Ed Helms compared to the original.
Absolutely.
They took elements from the original that you know and love. Oh, look, it's a hearse made into their car. And, oh, it's a fire station into their office. They took those elements, but then they just didn't do them the same way. And they did everything so over the top that it's not, I don't know. Like you said, it was like watching a skit that had no depth to it.
And part of it, too, and listen, I love all those SNL characters. They're some of my favorites on SNL. They're great at what they do. But the way this movie was produced, it almost like they felt like they were making fun of Ghostbusters. They had to steal a hearse. They found an old Chinese fast food restaurant, or the restaurant was down below them or something. And it was just nonstop. It was like shot after shot.
Right, and you mentioned Chris Hemsworth plays Thor, and he's in this movie. And he plays the male equivalent of Annie Potts' character in the originals. He's the receptionist who's kind of dumb. Dogs love him, but I don't know if audiences really wanted to see that kind of role out of Thor.
No. Made him really, really sound like an idiot in the movie. And I guess that's the character, so I get it. But at the same time, it just wasn't my cup of tea.
You know, Dan Aykroyd's character in the original was kind of like the dumb one, but he was still super smart. It's all about how you play it. There was none of that nuance to these characters. It was, as Melissa McCarthy would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to say a zinger, then you're going to say a zinger, then they're going to say a zinger back. There's going to be 4 or 5 zingers going around, and then we're all like, hey, what even happened?
And then Kate McKinnon is wearing a wig in one scene for no reason other than to I don't know, make a joke. I don't know.
Yeah,
So-
it was a disservice to the ladies that acted in the movie.
Yeah. They could have done a movie with those same actresses sticking closer to the original's tone, and it would have been fine, probably. Would have been great.
Yeah.
So now, 5 years later, they're rebooting again. Ghostbusters Afterlife, coming soon to a theater, possibly, near you. Paul Rudd is the star. What do you think?
So I saw the preview to this, and I read some of the backstory on this. And this is where I think ultimately Ghostbusters needed to go. It's kind of going a little bit dark here, too. I think you're still going to have some, not as much comedy from what I see from the trailers that I saw, but more of a story of what's going on with the Ghostbusters after the fact. And because we were all kind of left hanging after Ghostbusters 2, and I think the third Ghostbuster just kind of threw a monkey wrench into the whole thing. This is going to tell the rest of the story, I think. And I like the fact that there's a dark side to this new movie coming out, too.
Yeah, and they're actually trying to continue the original franchise. Like, this is supposed to be a direct sequel to Ghostbusters 2. It's directed by the son of the original director, Ivan Reitman's son. So there's that kind of connection to the family. And then I'm not sure if it's going to be as dark as you say. I think that they're trying to make it maybe a little more scary than the originals.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be a family film. It's going to revolve around a family. One of the kids from Stranger Things is in it. He's got a great name, Finn Wolfhard.
Ah.
So
Yeah.
you got that going for you.
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
Now, did
Listen,
you
I
see the little trailer with Paul Rudd and the mini Marshmallow Man?
Loved it. Again, they're going back to that original, what people liked about that original movie. Everybody loved the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. So now let's have a whole bag of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, I saw something interesting online where Bill Murray and Ivan Reitman on a Zoom call watched that trailer together, and they both loved it. They were laughing, and they loved seeing the Marshmallow Man, and they thought, like, this is the right tone. This looks like a good movie.
Sorry, folks. That's the dogs. They're in the other room barking away.
Well, I think we can wrap up our Ghostbusters discussion.
We will
Take
have
a
to
break.
revisit Ghostbusters once the new movie comes out.
We'll see the new movie. We'll do a review of it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll let you know. But for now, it's coming up next, Baloney Nation.
Oh, yeah, buddy. Woo-hoo-hoo. Ready. Remember the Butchman ski dance?
Oh, who could forget?
Yep, that's my tribute to the Butchman today. The Butchman ski dance. Hey.
All right, so it's
all
time.
right.
Baloney Nation. You can call us on the hotline, 585-484-1770. You can text us. Let us know what you think about the show. You have questions, you have comments. We're going to start right now with a voicemail. And being that it's a voicemail, you know it's going to be good.
My name is Steve. I'm calling from Fort Worth. I want to know. I know you guys were talking about politics, but I want to know if there is like a live news event that sticks out in your mind as being something you remember being compelled to watch as it unfolded live on TV. Something from the 80s, something from the 90s, or whatever, from that era. If you remember the news events, without going into politics about it, but just something you really found yourself caught up in and watched as it unfolded. Thanks.
What do you think?
That's a good question. I have an answer. And you were actually present with me when this happened.
I think we might have the same answer then.
I'm going to say the Space Shuttle Challenger blowing up.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, we were in 7th grade? 5th grade?
I don't know.
We
were in school.
We were at was it St. Casimir's then, or was it Holy Family then?
In my mind, I guess I thought it was 5th grade, but it could have been 7th grade.
I think it was 7th grade because our teacher was Sister Mary
Sister
Bridget.
Mary Bridget, yes.
Yeah, she can't stand us. We were model students, folks. Model students. But I remember they wheeled in that color TV. Remember they had those stands that they had the TVs and VCRs on.
Yes.
And they wheeled it in, and we were watching that live, and it blew up. And remember, they came in, they rushed the TV right out of the room, and
and then they gathered us all in the auditorium to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because that space shuttle had the teacher,
Krista
McAuliffe.
Yep.
So it became this thing that I'm pretty sure every school in the country was gathered together to watch that space launch.
Yeah. It was a big deal. It was a big deal. Like, they were hyping it up for, I mean, we didn't, keep in mind, folks, there was no Twitter, Facebook, internet, none of that stuff. This was hyping it up on TV commercials, on the news, and when they talked about happy stuff and, you know, positive things going on in the world. And this was a big deal. Every school was watching this when it happened.
Yeah. And could there have been a worse thing to happen? I mean, just awful.
Terrible. Yeah. Terrible.
Something you'll never forget. And
no. I remember you and I were sitting right there. We were on the right side of the classroom, and we had desks right next to the wooden desk right next to each other. And
before we got separated.
Yeah. The TV was just straight in front to the left. And I remember they would very rarely ever turn one row of lights off in the classroom. Yeah. And they turned off a row of lights so we could all watch it. And then that happened. And I was like, holy moly. And we had, who was our principal? Was it Sister Patricia Carroll?
Sister Pat?
Sister Pat.
Maybe?
I think that was our.
Or Deanna.
I think that was. I think it was Sister Deanna, because Sister Pat had just retired or left.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I remember that. Woo! What a day. That was crazy. Wild. But yeah, guys, it's a great question, because I was like, oh, snap! I know, I was there with my co-host.
That's right. Now, we'll move on to something a little lighter. When we last did a show 2 weeks ago, you held up this cup.
Yes, sir.
Jim Deezy's cup, Talkin Baloney.
Yep.
And that cup you said was going to be given away to the first person who wrote in.
Yep.
Let's go to the hotline because, hi, Tom Zarniak here. First-time listener, watcher of the Weird Al episode. Is the styrofoam cup still available?
Yes, the cup is still available. The cup is getting mailed out to Tom, and he's also, for participating, he's getting a Talkin Baloney thermal cup with our logo on it, a brand new stainless steel thermal cup along with it.
Wow. The real pricey one.
The real pricey one.
Wow.
Just because he's a new subscriber. And because, folks, sometimes we got to give back. We got to give back, and we're all about giveaways sometimes if they don't cost a lot of money. And so Tom, welcome to the Baloney family.
Yes, welcome, and glad to have you a part of Baloney Nation.
Your package is in the mail. I don't know when the heck you're going to get it, but it's in the mail.
There's no known delays ever with the post office.
No. Nope.
Moving on. Here's a question. Besides ratings, is it important for a TV series to have a finale?
I think so. I think as long as the finale makes sense. Like, there's a lot of shows that end and then they rush the finale. And I'm going to go back to Sopranos. I still, to this day, don't like the way The Sopranos ended. And I know this is a topic that's for another show someday we could spend a whole show talking about, but I did not like the way The Sopranos ended.
Okay.
I mean, I get it. I get the ending, but I just wish, I guess maybe in my own head, I'm thinking, I just wish something more would have happened. Like maybe Tony would have offed somebody right before the show ended, or, something would have happened. But it just, hey, and I get where they were going with it. They just want to make it seem like he was a regular family guy, and this is the way it was going to end. And they teased a lot of things could happen.
Well, that's where it's open for interpretation, because a lot of people think he dies at the end. That's why it goes to black. Because, as they say throughout the history of that show, you never see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
And there was that one guy in the diner wearing a members-only jacket who gets up and goes to use the bathroom right before the end. A lot of people think he came out of the bathroom with a gun. Blammo, show over, fade to black.
And if they ever do a movie or something like that, man, it's never going to be the same without James Gandolfini. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Because and I've heard rumors of a movie and, things like that, but.
So coming out this year, it's a prequel about Tony's father and what happened back then. And James Gandolfini's son is actually starring in the movie.
All right.
And it's from the original David Chase, the original creator and writer. So I have some high hopes for that movie.
Me too. I just, man, there better be a good tribute to Tony in this. That's all I can say.
Oh, I'm sure.
I did not miss an episode of that show when it was on. That was my show. Yeah. And to our Baloney Nation, if you want to really go back and watch something, stream something on a binge watch something, hit up The Sopranos. You will not be disappointed.
I've done a rewatch of it twice in the last 5 years. It's something I think you have to
three times.
go visit again and again and again.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I hear the term gorilla position all the time in wrestling. What does it mean?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the area behind the curtain where the wrestlers stand and wait to head out to the ring, or where Vince McMahon or Tony Khan might be stationed while people are walking in and out, correct?
Yeah. And it's named gorilla position because that's where Gorilla Monsoon always sat and ran things. So it was in honor of him. They named it gorilla position. But it's the spot where you communicate with the referees, with the ring announcer. You watch and make sure everything's going all right. You control time cues. It's an important part of the process that is behind the scenes that no one should ever really know about.
Mm-hmm.
But, Gorilla Monsoon, Rochester, New York native.
Does he have they should have a tribute or a statue to him in Rochester. Do they have one?
I would have to check. I think there might be a sign somewhere for the neighborhood that he grew up in, but I don't think there's a lot there.
Come on, Rochester, get your crap together.
Yeah, I know.
Come on. Jeez.
Now, Jim Deezy, this is the part of the show where I believe you have something you wanted to bring to the table.
Oh, yes, I do. Let me tell you. So, tried some new Pringles, and I believe I bought these when we were doing a trip someplace, you and I just finally got around to opening these babies up. But they are called, they're new.
I see.
I'm just going to tease it. New Pringles Scorchin Barbecue.
Okay.
And notice how you see the Pringle looks like it's in flames almost, and you got the really hot pepper with the fire underneath, and you got the smoke coming out of the ears because it's so hot.
Yes.
Well, let me tell you, folks, I've reviewed half a can of these. And
try one right now so we can see.
Okay. I do like their packaging. I'm going to say right now, packaging is everything to me.
Yeah.
And I want you guys to see the texture of these. going to put these down right here for a minute. So you see that right there, man. Ooh, looking hot. Fix that real quick.
Yeah.
Looking hot. Got a lot of red. Got a lot of reds and stuff like that. And look at that. Boom. Looks like it's screaming hot. Not hot at all. No.
Regular barbecue then.
Regular barbecue with maybe a little bit of like a mesquite sauce on it or something. Here, it's the second one. Nothing. I'm not saying they're not good.
You like them, but they're not hot.
But if you're going to say something's hot, I mean, you're not even saying it's hot. You're saying it's scorching, and you put a temperature gauge on it, exploding through the top.
There is a lot going on in that package.
Look at that.
As you pointed out, there's at least 4 or 5 indicators that this is going to be the hottest thing you ever had.
That's probably the best picture right there. Look at that.
Yeah.
Pringle, Scorchin, barbecue, chili peppers, flames,
Everywhere
smoke,
flames.
thermostat, and guess what? No.
Wow.
You know what this reminds me of? The ghost pepper donut from Dunkin' Donuts.
Which you tried on the show.
A failure.
Yeah.
Me and E-Dubs did that, and it was like eating a regular donut.
Well, in fairness, do you want to talk about the hot wings you had at a Quaker Steak?
Oh my God. Whew.
Those were hot.
Those were hot. Yeah, if you're gonna talk about hot, listen, if it starts to make your eyes water, your nose run, you can't feel your lips no more, that's hot. When you could bite your tongue off and not know it, that's hot.
That is hot.
Yeah. But if you sprinkle a little cinnamon on something in a large amount on a little donut and try to call it a ghost pepper, come on, Dunkin'. That's why you're not called Dunkin' Donuts anymore.
All right. So, time of the show. What are you watching right now?
So I just started getting into this new show on Netflix, and it's like a superhero. And I forgot the darn name of the show, but it's like it's almost like the Justice League, but crap, I can't remember the name of the show.
That is a brand new show with Josh Duhamel in it.
Yes.
Jupiter's Legacy.
Jupiter's Legacy. Yes. And I gotta say, if this isn't a direct ripoff of some kind of superhero show that's already on, holy cow! They all got capes. They got what the hell?
I haven't started it yet. I was looking forward to watching it. I've read some reviews that are not the greatest. It does seem like it borrows from a lot of other superhero stuff, but you're watching it. That's something.
It's downright stealing, but I ain't gonna lie, it's pretty damn good. It's entertaining as all heck. There are some different characters the way they put this show together. Like Josh Duhamel's character, I think he's like the leader or the figurehead of the family.
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty good, although there's a lot of stuff going on in the show where they keep going like retrospective. They go back and they come back to present, and they go back and they come back to present, and they go back and they come back to present, and they keep talking about these entities that are coming, but you never see them or you don't know where. There's some stuff where I'm having a hard time watching that without hitting the forward button on the on the remote.
As I understand it, they're playing the long game. Like they're expecting multiple seasons, so they're stretching that story out, is what I read.
And they are stretching it, because I watched the entire season 1, and you still have no idea what the hell is going on by the end of the season. I mean, to each his own when you watch it. Let me know what you think, but I'm more confused now at the end of the season than I was when I started.
That's not a good place to be at the end of a show.
No.
So I've been watching on HBO Max, The Nevers, which is kind of similar to what you were watching. It's but it takes place in the Victorian times, like the late 1890s. and it's about a spaceship that had like come through, crashed in London, and certain people are touched, as in they develop powers. So it's kind of like the X-Men. It's mostly women who have the powers, and it's a really good show. Season finale is tonight.
Ooh,
Just a 6-episode season, but easy to binge if you want something to watch. HBO Max.
The Legacy show is the same way. There's not a lot of episodes for the season, and so
I think I think we're running into the pandemic where I know for a fact that the Nevers had to pause production in the middle of episode 5 for 6 months because of the pandemic. So you know you're gonna run into that with shows here and there.
Just for Cobra Kai fans out there, aren't we only like 6-7 months away from season 4?
Is that all?
Yeah. I'm just saying. Netflix needs some Cobra Kai back really bad right now.
I also watched a Jason Statham movie, Homefront.
That's where he's got the daughter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
he's
think I've seen
like
this.
Ex-military guy, and he's a cop. He like leaves the force to go home, raise his daughter, and he's in like this little community that's run by a meth dealer, played by James Franco.
Oh,
It's a pretty good movie. What's weird, it was written by Sylvester Stallone.
Really?
And he wrote it with the intent that he would star in it. But I guess he finally realized he might be too old, and he let Jason Statham star in it. Interesting movie. I would check it out.
I think I've seen this. I did not know it was written by Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. It feels like a Stallone movie. Like, it could have taken place in 1982 starring Sylvester Stallone. You know, you would totally buy that.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw the little thing on social media with Sylvester Stallone, showing how they're going to go through all the videos or the video and all that stuff on Rocky 4. And I still have to say to myself, why? I don't get it. Leave it alone. It ain't broke.
All right.
Hey.
Anything else you've been watching?
No, that's pretty much. I will say tonight, WWE, WrestleMania Backlash.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably watch because I like where they're going with Cesaro right now, and I hope he wins the belt tonight.
Yeah, big match. Cesaro versus Roman Reigns for the title.
Oh, big time. Big time. And to all the wrestling fans out there, man, Dark Side of the Ring is...
So there is something else you were watching this week.
Yes, I did watch. I went back and watched all the Dark Side of the Rings. And, man.
All of them?
All of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of TV right there.
I do got to say that, I think sometimes, like, I don't like what A&E's doing with some of the shows that they're doing, like the shows on the wrestlers. Like, I don't like what they did with the Randy Macho Man. I don't like what they did with him. They made him look out. They made him look out to be like a jerk off. You know what I mean? I didn't like that.
A&E biography.
A&E biography
is doing WWE stars every Sunday. Macho Man.
Yeah.
I agree. A little bit of a hatchet job on him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the guy's not even alive, and you're just gonna pummel him the way that they did. I like what Dark Side of the Ring does because they interview a lot of people around them, things like that. They don't interview just their enemies, just their friends. They kind of hit a little bit of everybody up, and
right.
And I just gotta say, Jim Cornette's a nut.
Jim Cornette is a nut. He's hard to listen to if you listen to his podcast, but I think he's great on Dark Side of the Ring.
Wrestling genius.
Wrestling historian. He knows it all.
Yeah.
And you see his room that he's in when he films these interviews is just loaded with memorabilia.
It's like a comic book shop in his house.
For wrestling, yeah.
For wrestling, And
Pretty
then
cool.
And then we lost New Jack this week.
We did. New Jack.
Yeah.
Jerome Young 53 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
But he was crazy. But, you know.
And he was a Dark Side of the Ring last season.
Yeah. And that was an awesome Dark Side of the Ring episode.
Yes.
But
Crazy.
yeah, that was the other show that I did watch all the rest of this week, and we'll visit that again next week.
All right. Speaking of next week, see you next week.
Hey, stay classy, Rochester.
Keep it easy, sleazy Jim Deezy.
Yeah, hey, I'd say wash your hands, but people don't do it anyway, so what's the matter?
Yeah, who cares?
Who cares?
Roar!